Most people believe that if they just learn more, everything in their life will eventually improve. They assume that knowledge itself is success, but knowledge without action is only potential, and potential left unused creates no results. You can know exactly how success works and still live an average life if you never apply what you know. Education opens the door, but action is what allows you to walk through it. The world does not reward awareness, it rewards execution. Information is everywhere. Advice is abundant. Yet progress is rare. That alone should tell us something important. Knowing is common, doing is uncommon. Many people attend seminars, watch motivational videos, read books, and take notes, but their lives remain unchanged. Why? Because learning feels productive, while action feels risky. Knowledge feels safe. It allows people to feel intelligent and prepared without exposing themselves to failure. But growth does not happen in safety, it happens in motion. Unused knowledge slowly becomes a burden. At first it feels inspiring. Then it turns into pressure. Over time, that pressure becomes guilt. Deep down, people know what they should be doing, and every day they don't do it, their self-respect quietly erodes. The danger of knowing without doing is not ignorance, it is frustration. It's the frustration of seeing the gap between who you are and who you could become. True learning is proven through behavior. If something does not change the way you act, it has not truly been learned. Wisdom is not measured by what you understand, but by what you practice. A person who knows a little and applies it daily will always outperform someone who knows a lot and applies nothing. Action gives knowledge value. Without action, even the greatest ideas remain powerless. Life responds to movement. Confidence grows after action, not before it. Clarity appears when you start, not when you wait. You do not need to know everything to begin. You only need to know enough to take the next step. Progress rewards those who are willing to act while still learning, not those who wait until they feel perfectly prepared. When you begin to act on what you know, something powerful happens. You start to trust yourself. Each small action strengthens your belief that you can follow through. That belief becomes momentum, and momentum changes direction. Knowledge applied consistently becomes skill. Skill becomes confidence, and confidence becomes results. If you want your life to change, stop asking what else you need to learn and start asking what you already know but haven't acted on yet. The answers are usually obvious. The real challenge is not acquiring more information, but honoring the information you already possess. When knowledge meets action, potential turns into progress, and that is where real transformation begins. Most people wait for motivation to change their lives, not realizing that motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Some days you feel inspired, energetic, and ready to conquer the world. Other days, that feeling disappears, and with it goes your commitment. If your progress depends on how you feel, then your future will always be uncertain. Real growth begins when you learn to act without waiting to feel motivated. Discipline is the quiet force that moves your life forward when excitement fades. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when it is uncomfortable, boring, or difficult. Discipline is not harsh punishment. It is self-respect in action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your character. Over time, these small acts of discipline create a strong foundation that motivation alone can never build. Motivation may get you started, but discipline keeps you going. The gap between knowing and doing is not closed by enthusiasm, it is closed by routine. Successful people do not wait for the right mood to act. They create systems, habits, and schedules that guide their behavior regardless of how they feel. They understand that consistency beats intensity and daily effort beats occasional bursts of inspiration. Discipline also simplifies decision-making. When something becomes a habit, it no longer requires emotional debate. You don't argue with yourself about whether to show up. You simply do. This is how progress becomes automatic. What once required willpower eventually becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing discipline as something you force yourself to do and start seeing it as who you are. Many people avoid discipline because they think it limits freedom. In reality, discipline creates freedom. It frees you from procrastination, from regret, and from the stress of unfinished goals. A disciplined approach to your time, energy, and actions gives you control over your life instead of letting circumstances control you. The price of discipline is small, but the price of regret is heavy. When discipline becomes stronger than your excuses, results begin to appear. You no longer rely on external motivation or perfect conditions. You move forward in imperfect moments, and that is where real growth happens. Over time, discipline builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence transforms into achievement. The bridge between knowing and doing is built one disciplined choice at a time. You don't need massive changes, just consistent ones. When you commit to disciplined action, even on days you don't feel like it, you take control of your future. And that decision alone separates those who dream from those who do. Expand the keynote 3. Don't add heading and speaker name. Up to 500 words. Most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they allow fear and comfort to make their decisions. Fear whispers doubts about failure, rejection, and judgment, while comfort quietly convinces people to stay where they are. Together, these two forces create resistance to action even when the path forward is clear. The mind often knows what must be done, but the emotions resist the effort required to do it. Fear is not always loud or dramatic. Often it shows up as overthinking, perfectionism, or endless preparation. People tell themselves they are being careful, when in reality they are avoiding discomfort. They wait until they feel more confident, more skilled, or more ready, not realizing that readiness is created through action, not waiting. Comfort delays growth by making the present feel safer than the future. Comfort is especially dangerous because it feels harmless. There's nothing wrong with feeling comfortable, but staying comfortable too long slowly limits potential. When people choose what is easy over what is necessary, progress stalls. The familiar routine becomes a cage, and over time that cage begins to feel like security. But security without growth eventually turns into dissatisfaction. Every meaningful improvement in life requires stepping into uncertainty. Whether it is starting a new habit, learning a new skill, or pursuing a long-held dream, action always demands risk. Growth asks you to leave the familiar and face the possibility of failure. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Avoiding failure guarantees stagnation, while embracing effort creates progress. The greatest breakthroughs often occur just beyond the edge of comfort. When people confront fear and act anyway, they discover that fear loses its power through movement. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Each small, courageous action weakens fear's grip and strengthens self-belief. Comfort promises ease, but it charges interest. The longer action is delayed, the heavier regret becomes. People rarely regret trying and failing. They regret never trying it at all. The pain of discipline and the discomfort of effort are temporary, but the pain of inaction can last a lifetime when fear and comfort no longer. Controlled decisions, clarity, and confidence begin to grow. Action replaces doubt, and experience replaces anxiety. The moment you choose growth over comfort, you reclaim control of your direction. That choice, repeated daily, is what transforms knowledge into achievement and turns dreams into reality. Extraordinary results are rarely the outcome of one dramatic decision or a single life-changing moment. They are usually the result of small, consistent actions repeated over time. This truth is simple, yet it is often ignored because it lacks excitement. People look for shortcuts, breakthroughs, and overnight success, while real progress quietly happens through daily effort. What feels insignificant today becomes powerful when practiced consistently. Small actions may not produce immediate results, but they are never wasted. Each positive action is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you read a few pages, practice a skill for a short time, save a small amount, or make one disciplined choice, you are building momentum. Momentum is created through repetition, not intensity. Over time, these small actions compound, creating results far greater than the effort that produced them. Consistency builds trust with yourself. When you show up daily, even in small ways, you prove that you can be relied upon. This strengthens confidence and self-belief. Success is not built on grand promises, but on kept promises. Each small win reinforces the identity of someone who follows through, and that identity shapes future behavior. Many people underestimate the power of daily actions because they measure progress emotionally instead of mathematically. Growth often feels slow because compounding works quietly. Just like interest grows in the background, personal development accumulates beneath the surface. One day, the results become visible, and people call it success, not realizing it was built through patient consistency. Small actions also reduce resistance. Massive goals can feel overwhelming, but small steps feel manageable. When the task feels doable, action becomes easier. This lowers the barrier to starting and increases the likelihood of continuing. Progress becomes sustainable rather than exhausting over time. Consistent actions shape habits, and habits shape destiny. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. The direction of your life is determined not by one big decision, but by the choices you repeat. When these choices align with growth, improvement becomes inevitable. Extraordinary results are not reserved for extraordinary people. They are available to ordinary people who commit to ordinary actions done consistently. When you act on what you know every day, no matter how small the step, you close the gap between potential and performance. And in that quiet, disciplined consistency, dreams stop disappearing and begin to take form. Most people believe their future will change when their circumstances change, but lasting change begins when decisions change. Life moves in the direction of the decisions you make consistently, not the intentions you hold quietly. Intention sounds good, but it carries no weight without commitment. Decision, on the other hand, creates a line in the mind that separates excuses from action. The moment a real decision is made, progress becomes possible. A decision is not wishful thinking. It is not hope, and it is not desire. A true decision is followed by action, even when conditions are imperfect. Many people say they have decided, but their behavior suggests otherwise. If nothing changes after the decision, then the decision was never real. Real decisions demand adjustment, effort, and responsibility. One of the reasons people remain stuck is because they keep their options open. They want change, but they also want comfort. They want progress, but they don't want inconvenience. Keeping options open feels safe, but it weakens commitment. When you decide without retreat, your mind begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. Energy shifts the moment quitting is no longer an option. Decision creates focus. When the mind is clear about direction, distractions lose their power. You stop wasting energy debating whether or not to act and start investing energy in how to act. Clarity is not found by thinking longer. It is found by choosing firmly. Once the choice is made, action becomes simpler. Every major improvement in life begins with a moment of resolve. That moment may feel quiet and ordinary, but it carries enormous power. It is the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses and start honoring your potential. The quality of your decisions determines the quality of your habits, and habits determine results. Decisions also shape identity. When you repeatedly decide to act, you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries, you see yourself as someone who does. This shift in identity fuels confidence and consistency. You become aligned with your goals instead of conflicted about them. The gap between knowing and doing closes when decisions are made daily, not once in a lifetime. Each day offers opportunities to decide again, to show up, to act, to follow through. Small daily decisions, honored consistently, shape extraordinary futures. When you decide with clarity and act with commitment, life responds. Opportunities appear, confidence grows, and momentum builds. Dreams do not disappear when decisions are firm. They disappear when decisions are postponed. Choose decisively, act deliberately, and let your actions prove what you have decided to become. In the end, the difference between a life of potential and a life of fulfillment is not intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It is action. Knowledge shows you the path, but action is what moves you forward. Discipline keeps you going when motivation fades, while courage helps you step beyond fear and comfort. Small, consistent actions build momentum, and clear, committed decisions give direction to that momentum. Dreams do not disappear because people are incapable. They disappear because action is delayed. Every day presents a choice to act on what you know or to postpone it once again. When you honor what you already understand with disciplined effort, fear loses its control, confidence grows, and progress becomes inevitable. Life rewards movement, not intention. When knowing turns into doing, potential turns into power, and ideas turn into reality. The moment you choose action over excuses, your future begins to change. Close the gap. Step forward, and let your daily actions become the proof of the life you are capable of creating.